Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see by today's video title, I am doing a WSET Q&A. I put up a little box asking you guys for questions, and I'm gonna go through all of the questions that you had. So a little background, I just took my WSET level 3, like fresh from the test, still a little jittery. It was a hard test, but here I am. We're gonna go through the Q&A. I'm gonna give you a little background on what the WSET is. And full disclaimer, I am a WSET ambassador this year for Wine Education Week. But what I'm saying in this video is just my own thoughts and my own ideas and the ways I studied. So none of this is a reflection on the WSET. It's just me rambling. Okay, first up, the WSET is the Wine and Spirit Education Trust. It's a UK-based program. There are 4 different levels, 1, 2, 3, and diploma or 4. And what it is, a wine knowledge test. So you have like the sommelier exam, which incorporates service and knowledge. This part is just all knowledge, no service. So if you're someone who is interested in wine but doesn't want to work in a restaurant or doesn't want to have to deal with the service aspect of it, WSET is definitely the way to go. It's one of the most highly regarded certifications that you can get. Level 1 is really easy. I think you can do it in a weekend. Level 2 is a little more in depth. I think level 2 is the perfect amount for someone who just maybe doesn't work in wine but wants to learn more about wine. Level 3 is a gazillion times harder than level 2. Level 2's book, do I have level 2's book? Hold on. This is level 2's book, nice and skinny. It's 83 pages. Then you come to level 3's book, which is 200 pages, much thicker. So there's double the information, double the amount of things you go in depth about. And so this is somebody who might work in wine or someone who has a real passion for wine. And then there's level 4, which I can't really talk much of, but it's a diploma-based one. You gotta work in wine, you gotta know wine, you gotta know your stuff for level 4. It is intense. So like I said, I just finished my level 3 exam. It's broken down into 3 different parts. So you have a blind tasting of a red and a white still wine, which you get 30 minutes for. Then you have the theory exam and the multiple choice exams are bundled together in 1 2-hour session. So 50 multiple choice questions, then 4 short answers, each worth 25 points. So they're broken down into a bunch of different things. So it might be one question with like 6 different things under it, each worth different points that all total 25. So you have to get a 55% or higher to pass. You need to get a 65% or higher to pass with merit, and then you need to get an 80% or higher to pass with distinction. So 55 on each section gets you a pass. When you sign up for the exam, you're gonna get this plastic binder, and it's going to have this, which is a specification. This is gold. You wanna read this front to back. It tells you everything you need to know. It tells you all the learning outcomes, everything that you need to know for this exam, and all of the test taking procedures, like how long do you get, all the stuff I just went over is in your specification. This is gold. Next, you get your study guide. This is great. It has maps of every single region. That's not a map, that's a tasting sheet. They have maps of every region that you would be going over, and they do include a bunch of tasting sheets for you when you're doing all of your tastings because you need to taste for this exam. And then finally, like I said, you have your 200-page textbook. This read front to back, guys. Know every bold word in here because there's a chance it could be on your test, and they will not ask you something that's not in this book. I also recommend joining a tasting group because the more you taste, the better you're gonna get. And definitely create study guides, join a study group. Let's get into the Q&A before this video goes on forever and ever. So someone said, let me know how in-depth the short answers are. Like I said, the short answers range. So I had a short answer question on Chablis. I wanted to know about the climate of Chablis. And then it said, Chablis is prone to frost. Tell me 2 ways to prevent against frost. Tell me also why frost affects the vines, what it does to the vines, and how it affects the yields. And then it moves on, it says, tell me the ways that a Grand Cru Chablis and a standard Chablis differ in the vineyard and in the winemaking process. So you gotta list out all the ways that a Grand Cru grape would be treated differently than a standard grape. And then it moves into, oh my God, I don't even know, ways that you would, I don't even remember, but they just keep going. There was just a lot of different pieces to it. So they do go pretty in depth and they really encompass everything. So even if it's a question on Chablis, you gotta know the climate. You have to know the winemaking techniques. You have to know how the climate affects the grapes. You need to know what they do in the vineyard and what they do in winemaking to really keep that style of wine. So they're all encompassing, they are in depth. How often did you test your tasting skills and analyze? I tried to taste at least once a week. Thankfully, I'm a little bit better at tasting than other things. So the tasting portion wasn't that difficult for me, but if you know that you're not a great taster and you struggle finding aromas, definitely make that a priority of yours to study and taste. In the specification, they give you a massive list of every wine that you should be tasting for this exam. How long do you think you should study the study book and workbook before testing? So the class, I think, is 8 or 9 weeks long. And then I think you get a couple weeks off. You get like a mock exam and then you take your test. Take all of those. I mean, I would study for 2 months for this, at least, because it's a lot of information. And if you're not going to study every single day, then you definitely need to just budget. You know how well you're going to study, so just work it into that. But you need to read the book front to cover, maybe even twice. What should I know about the 2 wines you had to analyze? How did you structure your writings? Exact same way, the systemic approach to tasting, you will become very familiar with it if you've taken level 2. Level 3 is a little more in depth. You get some medium minuses, medium plus, that kind of style instead of just low, medium, high. Can anyone take the courses? Yes, anyone can take the courses. If you don't have any prior wine knowledge or don't work in the wine industry, I think they make you start with level 1. I started at level 2 because I had a recommendation from someone in the wine industry that said, you know, Chel knows what she's talking about. She doesn't need to take level 1. So I got to pop into level 2. And a lot of people I took the test with today jumped right into level 3 because they were also certified sommeliers from the court. So it was equivalent to like level 2 for them. So they just hopped right into level 3 and that's how they got it. But anybody can take these. You don't need to work in wine to take this. What was the hardest part for you? Hardest part for me was just studying in general. I work a full-time job. I don't work in wine, so I wasn't exposed to this every single day, so it definitely made it harder. But as for the test, the short answer was the hardest. It's just like a culmination of everything you know, so that was the hardest part for me. Best tips for tackling WSET 3 with a full-time job not in wine. Like I did, I just studied and studied and studied. I spent every weekend for the last month and a half, Saturday and Sunday studying, and then I tried to make a conscious effort to study at least an hour or 2 every single night, especially these last 2 weeks. It was every single night doing as best I can. I also had Pete leave for the weekend, so I didn't have any distractions. So I could just really hunker down and study all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because the test was today. So you really just have to be a good multitasker, a good budgeter of your time. No procrastination if you work a full-time job, not in wine and want to take this. It doesn't work. How difficult was it? Scale 1 to 10. I would say like a 7. It was hard. It wasn't like crazy hard where I didn't know anything. I still knew things, but some parts of it I didn't know. So I would say like a 7. How much harder / more work was level 3 than level 2? Like I said, if you saw in the first part of this video, level 2's book was like 80 pages, level 3's book, 200 pages. It is significantly harder. It is significantly more in depth. If you're up for the challenge, then I definitely think you should do it. For tasting, do you taste and mark the answers, or is it someone there marking it as you call it? There is just 2 proctors in the room. They give you a sheet for white and a sheet for red that has 4 boxes on it, and you just go. You just taste them and fill them out. You have 30 minutes to do it all, and you turn it in, and you don't know how you did until you get your results back. Study tips for level 3. I have my test in 10 days and I'm super nervous. Girl, just study. I created study guides. I used an app called Quizlet, and there are some WSET flashcards already on there that other people have made. I used a website called 3050, which you can pay £20 because it is a UK website. Some of the multiple choice questions on that are absolute shit, so take it with a grain of salt, but it is extra practice to help. And just taste. How time consuming would you say level 2 is? Level 2 you can get done in 3 days. Do the crash course. Highly recommend it. It's just all packed in and it's just right there, and I love doing it that way. Which countries have the most emphasis in level 3? All of the countries do. There is no heavier weight on New World versus Old World. I had questions on everything from California to Australia, Chile, Argentina, Greece, Austria, and France. But surprisingly, I only had 1 question on Bordeaux. I had no questions on Burgundy. I didn't have 1 question on South Africa. So it just depends on the test. So you really need to study everything so that you know everything. What's the WSET equivalent of the CWS? That I'm not 100% sure of. I want to say probably CWS is equivalent to level 3. And I know that for the Court of Master Sommeliers, level 2 is similar to level 3 for the WSET. Don't quote me on that 100%. That's just on some of the research I've seen. So that is what I know. Okay guys, so that is the Q&A. Thanks for everybody that submitted questions. And I also just want to give a shout out to every single person that wished me luck today. Thanks to Pete for bearing with me these last couple weeks when I've been a psychopath. But if you guys want to learn about anything else WSET related, go right down here to WSET Global. And also Wine Education Week is happening September 9th through September 15th. So the link to Wine Education Week is going to be right here. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. Good luck to any of you taking any certifications coming up. You guys are going to crush it. Bye!